Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Did It Work? My name is Nina. Today, we will be making gourmet chocolate chip cookies. This recipe comes from a cookbook, Nestlé's Year-Round Recipes on page 30. Now, funny thing, I've had this cookbook for nearly 10 years and I've never used a recipe out of this cookbook until now. How this came about was my young ones, my two youngest kids, Marco and his girlfriend, asked me for a recipe for chocolate chip cookies. I've not made chocolate chip cookies in, wow, a good 20 years, if not more. So I gave them two recipes out of this book. Probably about 2 months ago that this happened. And then last weekend, while I was in Paisley Park on my print celebration that I go to every year, um, he called and asked me for a recipe for chocolate chip cookies again. I knew I had already sent him some, so I resent these. And then I thought, that's got to be my next recipe, chocolate chip cookies. I sent them two, original and then a gourmet one. They did the original one. They said they loved it. So I'm doing the gourmet one on page 30. So, young ones, Marco, Sierra, this is for you. And we're going to do this and see, did it work? So the first thing that I'm going to do is turn my oven to 375 because that's what it calls for. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Get that oven preheated. I've done the same thing that I did with the Maya Angelou recipe. I have all of my ingredients sat out. As you can see, I've got the flour, the pecans, all the recipes that you're going to see me put in here. They're already set out. Again, this is page 30, so I'm not going to give you the exacts, but we're going to do it. As you can see, I've got my KitchenAid up and ready to go. So here we go. So the first thing that we do, since we've got the oven preheating, is combine the flour, ground pecans. Have the ground pecans. I have a video short that's got to show you how to do the ground pecans, so you can look at it. I have the baking powder, and I have the baking soda and the salt. Have all of those in a medium bowl. Here's my medium bowl. So I'm going to put this aside. In my large mixing bowl, it wants me to beat my butter. Here's my butter. I'm going to go ahead and open it up and stick it in here. Whee! Stick that in there. Turn my mixer on. Beat my butter and my vegetable shortening. Here's my vegetable shortening that I am unwrapping. I buy the sticks because it's easier to deal with. And I actually have the buttered flavor vegetable shortening because it was in my refrigerator. It's vegetable shortening. It didn't say which. I just use that quite often. So I'm going to beat that in a large mixing bowl on medium speed. So medium speed for 30 seconds. Okay. So I've got a couple of stories I'm going to tell you as we get going in here about some chocolate chip cookies as we go through here. So what I'm going to do now is add my sugar. That going in there. I'm using my stand blender mixer because it's easier to talk and do this. You can use a hand one just as well. Here is my brown sugar. This is the first time that I've ever done this recipe. So again, I don't do recipes that I have experience doing. And then next, I have my eggs here that I'm going to plop in there. This is just going round and round. And my vanilla extract. Make sure I get all of that in there because I love me some vanilla. So I have all of those in there, and I'm going to beat until well combined. So I'm going to let this go a little bit. I'm going to tell you this really funny story. When Lexi, my oldest daughter, was little, I had given them some milk and cookies, and she was dunking her cookie. She had to have been all of 2. And she dunked her cookie and left it in there so it could soak up that milk, and pulled it out and just started screaming, ah! The milk had eaten her cookie because she left it in there so long that the cookie fell apart. And she screamed and hollered because she thought the milk had eaten her cookie, and she was screaming. So I had to pour the milk out to show her the cookie was at the bottom, and then give her some more milk so she could repeat the cycle again. It was so crazy. So I am going to stop this and brush my sides just to make sure everything around the sides and the bottom are actually mixed. Let you see that. See in there. And they are mixed pretty well. So I am happy with that. So I am going to go ahead and keep going. Okay, so the next thing that they want me to do is to gradually beat in as much as the flour mixture as I can. I'm going to use a spoon to do this. This is my flour mixture. Remember, we had that earlier. And I'm going to just spoon this in here until my mixer is having trouble mixing. So that's what I'm going to do on that. This shouldn't take us too long. So when my kids were little, I had bought a couple of cups, and they were specifically made for eating cookies. Now, how that is done is at the bottom of the cup, there was like a little mouth at the bottom of the cup, and you could put the cookie in there and then put the milk on the top of it. And I had bought those for both of the girls. I had bought that for because they are girly and they appreciate that. My son, not so much. He just wants to eat them. And they love to have their cookies and milk brought to them in that manner. I wonder, do you either of you still have those cups? I don't know if they got broke or what, but I thought I had one before I moved here to California. So I wonder if you guys still have those. Okay, so I've almost got this in here. So stir in mixture as much as possible, and then stir in the remaining mixture with the nuts and stuff. So this has gotten fairly thick. So I'm going to go ahead and stop this and do the rest of it by hand to see how we are doing with that. Okay? So I'm going to bring you down here so you can still see me. Get this stuff off of here because this is some yummy stuff that I want to have. You know I'm going to taste this too. So this is all a thing. It's about as much as I'm going to get off because I'm going to end up eating the rest because I'm that person. Yes, I am that person. This tastes wonderful. I'm going to set this there in the sink. Wash my hands off real quick. Okay, so stirring the rest of this by hand and putting the rest of this in. So my instructions say to stir in the remaining flour mixture and stir in the morsels and the nuts. So here is my remaining flour mixture. I didn't have a whole lot. My remaining flour mixture, my morsels, and my chopped nuts that also have a short for so you can see how those were actually done. And I'm going to mix these by hand. So your batter should be fairly thick. So let's look at what we have here. Look at that. I cannot hold this and mix at the same time. So you have to go back down and watch me do this because I need all the strength that I have. And this is still a one woman production. So we're doing this. Now, in the recipe, it states that, so what it says, recipe may be made ahead up to this point if desired. Cover and refrigerate dough for 4 hours or up to 3 days. So you can do this all in advance. Okay, so I have no more flour. My arm is very fatigued. This is what we have. This looks great so far. Looks absolutely wonderful. So next, we're going to drop my teaspoonful, rounded teaspoonful onto an ungreased baking pan. So pulling it out, making my teaspoonfuls, round it with just another spoon. As you can see how I'm doing that. I have, people also do these with ice cream scoopers. You can buy little ice cream scoopers. That way they're all uniform, they're the same size and everything. I am not that fancy. I have my spoon, kind of making them into a shape from there, and they are all different sizes, different shapes and sizes. And I only have one size cooking sheet because I am uh, by myself in California. So I will be making several batches of these. So putting them on there, giving them room to expand, put those in there. And we're going to bake for 10 minutes until golden brown. And we're going to cool them on the baking sheet for 2 minutes. Then we'll remove them to the wire rack to cool, but I'll be back before then. Hey, my alarm is going off. Let's see what we have. This was 10 minutes. I didn't check it beforehand. So this is what I have. Depending on how you like them, you might want to leave them in a little bit longer, a little bit less. I'm going to let these cool for the 2 minutes that they need to cool. And I'll be back to let you know how they turned out. Okay, so these have cooled for the 2 minutes. This is cooled down pretty good. So I am transferring them to my wire cooking sheet. As you can tell, the reason why we wanted them to cool is because if not, I wouldn't be able to pick them up like this and they would just completely fall apart. So this is my first batch. I'm not going to taste them just yet. I want to bake some more, but I'll come back and we'll do a testing. Okay, so here we are. I've got 2 batches out. They look absolutely amazing. I mean, look at that texture on them. I'm ready to dig in and taste these. Here we go. Let's see. Look, bottom of them are perfect. Perfect. Beautiful. Here we go. These are wonderful. Nice, crunchy. These would be wonderful, 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 wonderful warm. Obviously, if they're not warm, I've cooked. I'm on my 3rd batch before I finally got around to tasting them. They have that nice crunch to them when you first bite. You can hear it, but they're soft. Milk, donkey, 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 donkey. You know, Lexi, don't get your cookie caught in the milk. Milk didn't eat your cookie. It's still at the bottom. She may kill me for telling that story. These are wonderful. These are a must. Must, 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 must bake. These are wonderful cookies. This worked. They worked. They look great. They taste great. This actually worked. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Did It Work? I hope you try these cookies. They are gourmet chocolate chip cookies. They live up to their name. Until next time, cook with your soul, love with your heart.